minutes. Please make your way there. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Please start making your way to your seats. We got like 2 minutes to the 2-minute warning.
God bless the USA, or God bless America. There's that cut at the beginning to 30. We are taking that. Wait. Cut from 9 to 30.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 2 minutes. As a gentle reminder, please turn off all electronic devices to prevent distractions. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Major General Claire Gill, welcome to the 128th Aviation Brigade Change of Command ceremony. Today, Colonel Paul Moreshead will relinquish his command as the commander of the 128th Aviation Brigade to Colonel Robert Holcroft. Joining us as the reviewing officer for the change of command is Major General Claire Gill, Commanding General, United States Army Aviation Center of Excellence and Fort Rucker, and Command Sergeant Major Kirk Coley, Command Sergeant Major of the Aviation Branch. Other distinguished guests in attendance are Lieutenant General David Francis, Training and Doctrine Command Deputy Commanding General, Brigadier General and Mrs. Peter Hart, Joint Staff J5, and joining us virtually, Major General Brandon Tigmeyer, Central Command Chief of Staff. Thank you for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation being offered today by the 128th Aviation Brigade Chaplain, Chaplain John Ulrich.
Let us pray. Almighty God, today we come to you with deep gratitude in our hearts for your many blessings. We thank you for the privilege of serving the people of the United States. We thank you for the leadership Colonel Moreshead has blessed the 128th Aviation Brigade with over the past 2 years. We ask that you would keep your hand of grace on him and his family as he transitions now to a new area of responsibility. And today we lift up to you a new commander of the 128th Aviation Brigade, Colonel Robert Holcroft. We know that taking command of the 128th is a huge undertaking, but we know that Colonel Holcroft is up to the task. He's been trained, has the right experience, and is prepared for his new role. And as Colonel Holcroft accepts this responsibility today, we ask that you would help him to accept it as a sacred trust and to steward his position, authority, and duties according to the Army values. We ask that you would give him wisdom to lead and to help him pass his wisdom on to others. We ask that you would bless all of these soldiers in our formation today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the VIP seating area. On behalf of the soldiers and families of the 128th Aviation Brigade, the Aviation Center of Excellence Instructor of the Year, Sergeant First Class Rachel Abushan, will now present Ms. Bethany Moreshead a bouquet of red roses. Red is the color of the heart and reflects the loving concern, devotion, and tireless efforts that Mrs. Moreshead has shown for the soldiers and their families. Her roses are in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and fulfillment of her time with the 128th Aviation Brigade. Sergeant First Class Abushan will also present a single red rose to Colonel Moreshed's daughter, Sophia, and a bouquet of flowers to his mother, Paula Moreshead. At this time, the 2024 Aviation Center of Excellence Drill Sergeant of the Year, Drill Sergeant Forrest Minahan, will present Mrs. Christine Holcroft a bouquet of yellow roses. Yellow is the color of friendship, symbolizing Mrs. Holcroft's new beginning with the 128th Aviation Brigade. In time, the rosebuds will blossom, as will Mrs. Holcroft's relationship with the soldiers and families of the 128th Aviation Brigade. Drill Sergeant Minahan will also present a single yellow rose to Colonel Holcroft's daughters, Jada and Nadia, and to his mother, Teresa Holcroft, as tokens of appreciation from the 128th Aviation Brigade. Bugle calls have a marked place in military history. They have been used for hundreds of years for many purposes in armies throughout the world, to signal, alert, and inform soldiers and units. Today, bugle calls will be used in the change of command ceremony in place of verbal commands. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the left of the parade field, where you will see the Brigade Adjutant, First Lieutenant Amari Anya Buile. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the rendering of honors. The reviewing officer for today's ceremony, Major General Claire Gill, Commander of the United States Army Aviation Center of Excellence in Fort Rucker, Alabama, will take his place on the reviewing stand. He is being joined by the outgoing brigade commander, Colonel Paul Moreshead, and the incoming commander, Colonel Robert Holcroft. During this part of the ceremony, you will witness ruffles and flourishes. The earliest use of ruffles and flourishes can be traced to the time of England's Lord Marlborough, who used to kettle drums to announce his arrival. In 1776, the Continental Army authorized a fife and drum unit to give 2 ruffles for a major general and 1 for a brigadier general. Current practice is to play ruffles equal to the number of stars a general possesses. Today, Major General Gill will receive 2 ruffles and 2 flourishes. Major General Gill has deferred honors to Colonel Moreshead. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, the reviewing party will move forward to troop the line and inspect the assembled soldiers. Major General Gill has invited Colonel Moreshead and Colonel Holcroft to join him for the inspection of the troops. From ancient times, armies throughout the world have conducted ceremonies to commemorate victory over the enemy, to celebrate special occasions, to honor our fallen comrades, and to honor comrades in arms. It is customary for the reviewing officer to inspect the troops gathered for the ceremony. The inspection of troops is a custom that dates back more than 3 centuries to our European heritage, when Charles II came back from exile in 1660 to claim the throne of England. A crack cavalry regiment formerly aligned with the late Oliver Cromwell decided to offer allegiance to the king. A squadron was sent from the regiment to meet the king. To ensure this was not a trap, Charles went forward alone with a foot rider. He passed slowly along the ranks of the troops and carefully looked at each soldier to determine signs of treachery or sincerity. Convinced of their sincerity, Charles accepted the allegiance of the command and then ordered the squadron to escort him to London. This outfit is now the Royal Horse Guard. Today, the reviewing party joins the commander of troops for inspection of the troops. Army aviation training began in 1942 at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, with light fixed-wing airplanes. Helicopters were introduced into the inventory in the late 1940s. Aviation logistics training began at the Transportation School in 1954. On 12 April 1983, Army Aviation was established as a basic branch, and shortly thereafter, the U.S. Army Transportation and Aviation Logistics School, USATOS, was created at Fort Eustis, Virginia. On 1 October 1988, aviation logistics training was separated from the Transportation School, becoming the U.S. Army Aviation Logistics School, USALS, and was placed under the command and control of the U.S. Army Aviation Center and Fort Rucker. In 2008, USALS became the first TRADOC school to achieve an accreditation of Training Institute of Excellence. In 2011, USALS once again received the top rating, becoming the first training institution to receive 2 such ratings. On September 2011, the decision was made that USALS would transform into a training brigade to accomplish both its training mission and provide brigade-level command and control over its staff and faculty, cadre, and students. On 1 February 2012, the 128th Aviation Brigade was activated. The 128th Aviation Brigade has a short yet courageous lineage, earning its motto "Born Under Fire" by fighting as a provisional unit during Operation Just Cause in December 1989. It was activated on 16 January 1990 in Panama and served until 1995 when it was inactivated. The brigade was awarded the Armed Forces Expedition Panama campaign streamer. Today, the 128th Aviation Brigade is composed of 3 battalions. 1st Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, trains the Military Occupational Specialties, or MOS's, 15 Fox, Aircraft Electrician, 15 Hotel, Aircraft Hydraulics Repair, 15 November, Avionics Mechanic, 15 Romeo, AH-64 Delta Attack Helicopter Repair, 15 Yankee, AH-64 Delta Armament Electrical Avionics Repair, and the 151 Aviation Maintenance Technician Warrant Officer Basic and Advanced Courses for the AH-64 Delta Apache Weapon System. 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment trains MOS's 15 Bravo, Aircraft Power Plant Repair, 15 Delta, Aircraft Powertrain Repair, 15 Golf, Aircraft Structural Repair, 15 Tango, UH-60 Alpha, Lima, and Mike Model Helicopter Repair, and 15 Uniform CH-47 Repair. 1st Battalion, 222nd Aviation Regiment is the Student Battalion, responsible for the shaping the student soldiers into members of the aviation branch through the lessons of Army values, aviation safety, warrior task and battle drills, in addition to a solid physical training program. The 128th Aviation Brigade carries on the proud tradition of those who have gone before, ensuring training is realistic, relevant, and rigorous, enabling graduates to make an immediate and positive impact at their first duty assignment. Excellence in aviation maintenance starts here at the 128th Aviation Brigade and continues to be above the best. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the national anthem by Chief Warrant Officer 3, Victor Trinidad.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Detachment, order! All
Please be seated.
down, order arms, and parade ready.
The reviewing party will now move forward for the traditional passing of the colors for the change of command. Assisting with the passing of the colors is Command Sergeant Major Susie Nuvali, the Command Sergeant Major of the 128th Aviation Brigade, and CW5 Travis Michael, the Command Chief Warrant Officer of the 128th Aviation Brigade. The change of command is an event rich with symbolism and heritage. The key to the ceremony is the passing of the unit's colors. The Command Sergeant Major represents the non-commissioned officers of the unit and the core of the organization. According to tradition, the Command Sergeant Major is the only unit member authorized to handle the unit colors, and so plays an important role in the transfer of command. In today's ceremony, Command Sergeant Major Nuvali will pass the brigade colors to Col Moreshead, signifying the relinquishing of his duties. Col Moreshead will then pass the colors to Major General Gill, signifying the relinquishing of his command and gratitude for the opportunity to lead and care for the soldiers and families of the 128th Aviation Brigade. Major General Gill then passes the colors to Col Holcroft, symbolizing the change of command, as well as demonstrating his confidence in the new commander's ability to handle the responsibility of command. Col Holcroft will then pass the colors back to Command Sergeant Major Nuvali, who will then return the colors to the color bearer, thus completing the change of command. By authority of AR 600-20, Chapter 2-5, the undersigned assumes command of the 128th Aviation Brigade, Fort Eustis, Virginia, effective 18 July 2025. Signed, Robert Holcroft, Colonel, Aviation Commanding. Ladies and gentlemen, Major General Claire Gill, Commander, United States Army Aviation Center of Excellence.
All right, if I can put everybody at rest, let's go ahead and unseat the colors. I want you guys to relax out there a little bit and just listen. I don't want anybody passing out. It's a beautiful day out here. I just want to welcome all of our distinguished guests, soldiers, families, and friends of the Born Under Fire Brigade. Before we get started, I do want to recognize, where's General Francis? So one of our former branch chiefs, obviously one of our Army senior leaders, but more importantly, what he and Jody have been to the Moreshead family, as he has mentored Paul since he was a company commander. So I think we both share a tremendous amount of pride of where the Moreshead family is and the accomplishments of Paul. So, sir, thanks for coming out. To all of our guests and families, to the soldiers out here, it's just great to be with you here on this beautiful day at Fort Eustis, Virginia. So on behalf of Sergeant Major Coley and CW5 Slider, good morning, and thanks for joining us for the 128th Aviation Brigade Change of Command as we recognize the outstanding service of Colonel Paul Moreshead and welcome into command Colonel Rob Holcroft and his family to the Aviation Center of Excellence. I just want to shout out to their families here. It's wonderful to see both represented. Bethany, great to have you and Sophia here. And I just met Paul's family from Florida, so Bill and Paula and Hannah, Amy, Abigail. Great to share this really tremendous opportunity. We don't get many of these in our career, and when we get an opportunity and it lines up with calendars, we get to share it with family. It's just great. Obviously, over to the Holcroft side, Christine, Jada, Nadia, and Dad Steve and Terry. Great to have you all from way out in Idaho. A little warmer here, I would imagine, certainly muggier, I'm positive. But your presence and support, all of you, mean the world to Rob and Paul, not just today, but I know that you have talked to them for the better part of probably 20, 25 years now in their Army journey. To the soldiers of the Born Under Fire Brigade and the exceptional musicians of the 380th Band, thank you. And to our national anthem singer, Victor Trinidad, I don't know what you think you're doing on terminal leave. When I'm on terminal leave, I will not be a cappella singing the national anthem in front of thousands of people. Victor, wherever you are, awesome job, congrats, and thanks for your service as you head into your retirement. And then obviously our chaplain, John Ulrich, fantastic invocation. Everybody, this embodies the professionalism, dedication that define this unit, and you all look and sound fantastic, above the best. All right, so today's ceremony is steeped in military tradition, a formal transfer of command responsibility and trust, but beyond the pageantry, it's a testament to the enduring strength of this brigade and the unwavering commitment of its soldiers and what they're going to do for our Army. It's the dedication to duty and our country that allows for a seamless transition and their willingness to embrace a new leader. Just like that, with the passing of the colors, we have a change of command. Well, Paul's commanded this brigade with exceptional distinction, and as we bid him farewell, I just want to highlight a couple of accomplishments, contributions, and achievements. His leadership was instrumental in maintaining a laser focus on this critical mission, generating highly trained, battle-ready aviation maintainers for our Army, the Joint Force, and our allies. True leadership is measured by the success of those you lead, and by that measure, Paul has excelled in his commitment to our soldiers. I put this brigade's battalion and company level leadership up against anyone in our military. There are no more committed, selfless leaders. To our drill sergeants who are feared and revered, none better. They all truly care about this mission and our soldiers. During his tenure, Paul oversaw the training of over 3,500 students annually across 10 vital, we say MOS, but it's a military occupational specialty, as well as critical warrant officer courses. He had championed instructor development, ensuring the highest quality of training, and broadened our partnerships, supporting maintainers from the Air Force in over 20 allied nations. But perhaps what the brigade will remember most is Paul's genuine care for his soldiers, knowing them by name, understanding them, fostering a climate of professional excellence in all we do. His focus on personnel led to improvements in drill sergeant manning and a strong command climate reflecting an enthusiastic request for extensions to stay in this brigade. Paul consistently emphasized the importance of realistic field training, injecting rigor and complexity into field training exercises. He understands that today's battlefields demand adaptable, resilient soldiers, and he refined that training to produce just that. Paul cultivated a warfighter culture at every turn, and his combat experience proved invaluable in preparing our soldiers for the challenges ahead. Gritty, tough hardened soldiers who can think and act within commander's intent and operate independently. Paul led our training aids, devices, simulators, and simulations, resulting in a highly successful summit at Redstone just last month. These are critical things that our soldiers need to train. The summit drew participation from across the aviation enterprise, focused on identifying training gaps, prioritizing modernization efforts, and exploring new technologies, modern technologies that can enhance aviation training effectiveness. This critically important forum significantly improved our collaboration and shared understanding across this enterprise between the 128th and the AVCO Aviation Center of Excellence. We'll continue to pursue these best opportunities to ensure our soldiers are well prepared for their jobs, both in garrison and combat. And whether Paul was spearheading key transformation initiatives or working with AVCO to optimize force structure and enhance the critical training of critical MOSs, as we did with our Fox and November MOSs, or crafting realistic training opportunities for his soldiers, he has laid tremendous groundwork for the future. Paul's passion for the Army is evident and his insistence that the right things are done in the right way. While recounting all of Paul's accomplishments would take all day and likely involve many "there I was" stories, his impact is undeniable. Some of his greatest contributions are yet to be realized, as he's applied a great deal of effort into crafting an augmented or virtual reality training proof of concept potential for our future applications, something that we're looking at across the board. Paul also demonstrated a commitment to developing future leaders through his robust leader professional development program. His commitment to leader development was consistent and always protected time on his calendar, whether bringing in guest speakers like the staff judge advocates or taking the officers to the Army Museum and looking at our history or exploring how other services conduct training. A young leader was always going to grow and become better under Col Moreshad's leadership. We should all aspire to that example and commitment to our leader development. Well, we know it doesn't happen alone, and so I have to acknowledge Bethany. I just want to thank you for your unwavering support of Paul and his soldiers over the years, but especially here. We all know that the Army is a family affair. No soldier does it alone. Your dedication to both the family and our greater Army family has served as an inspiration. Your unwavering commitment and compassion serve as a source of strength for Paul. I know this for a fact, enabling him to be the very best version of himself. And if you know Bethany, these have been a tough 2 years, but more impressively, Bethany, I've been personally inspired by your beautiful strength and resilience in the face of adversity. We need soldiers as resilient as you. Well, to Paul and Bethany and Sophia, we wish you all the best as you embark on this new chapter. Paul's going to assume duties as the Deputy Director of Air, Land, Sea, Space Application Center, and thankfully, y'all will remain locally here in the Hampton Roads area. Probably more time to explore and enjoy some preferred pursuits. I know Paul's a foodie, lots of places yet to check, and Sophia's swim meets and roller coaster rides. We are going to miss the Moreshead family here, but you will always be a part of the AVCO and aviation family. So now, with that very simple, symbolic passing of the colors that you just witnessed, we warmly welcome Colonel Rob Holcroft and his family to the Born Under Fire Brigade. Rob is exceptionally well prepared for this command. He brings a wealth of experience from a distinguished career. He's been an attack battalion commander, an attack company commander, 5 combat tours. There is no doubt Rob Holcroft is a leader, he's a warfighter, and he's the right officer to lead this brigade at this time. His recent assignment as Deputy Chief of Staff of U.S. CENTCOM demonstrates his strategic acumen and leadership capabilities. And while I think working at a COCOM is tough duty, working at CENTCOM is unrelenting. And working for one of my personal heroes, General Eric Kurilla, is all-consuming. I am super impressed that he let you out of the vortex. It's obviously been a very busy last couple years for Rob and the CENTCOM team. I think that has honed his craft, steadied him for the rigors of command. And for those that know Rob, that he has all the bona fides that he needs to lead this brigade. We are in great shape with him now, commanding the 128th. Few better understand the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead to continue transforming Army aviation, ensuring our readiness to fight globally and win. It begins right here as you train this next generation of tough, gritty warfighters who will be the difference makers when our Army next calls us into action. Rob, Christine, Jade, and Nadia, welcome to the AVCO and welcome to the 128th Aviation Brigade. We're so happy to have you. Born under fire, proud to serve with all of you. This will defend above the best and fly Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Paul Moreshead, former commander of the 128th Aviation Brigade.
All right, good morning. Distinguished guests, all of you, your attendance here today means an enormous amount to me and the soldiers of the 128th Aviation Brigade. What a privilege it is to lead American soldiers. And so many people contribute to these awesome leadership opportunities. And I apologize today that I can't thank everyone by name. But let me thank a few and talk about a couple things and get off the stage. Thank you all who planned and directed this ceremony. Ceremonies require precision, synchronization, and timing, just like defeating an enemy does. So let us always be excellent at such things. Thank you to my battalion commanders and for your steadfast leadership. Jason, Mike, Eris, and Chris, and now Griff and Nicole, I wish those of you in command the best. To CW5 Don Chambers, thanks for your leadership and counsel, and to Mr. Andy Kaiser for adding so much to our team. To Command Sergeant Major Kristen Hughes out there, who's so smoothly moved into the brigade sergeant major role and then seamlessly right back into her 1st Battalion position. You are the consummate professional. Lieutenant Colonel Liz Weaver, everyone knows she's the heart and soul of this brigade headquarters. This place will miss you a lot more than it will miss me. And Susie Nuvali, our Command Sergeant Major, you are the epitome of what a brigade Command Sergeant Major should be. Thank you for your energy, leadership, and spirit. I would serve with you again anywhere. Now in this brigade, like all over the Army, we do things that are hard. President Kennedy said in 1962 that we would go to the moon precisely because it was going to be hard. He went on to say that because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one we are willing to accept. And so every soldier on this field accepted an enormous challenge when they put this uniform on. The cadre of this brigade do amazing work, challenging every trainee who comes through our doors to do the things that are hard every day. Drill sergeants and instructors continue to be hard and fair with our young soldiers. Anything less is letting them down. I absolutely relish the opportunity to serve with you. And on a personal note, General Gill alluded to it a little bit, for the last year I've watched my wife fight cancer, something that I know has impacted many here today. It is not a hyperbole to say that watching Bethany kicking cancer's ass is harder than anything the Army has yet asked me to do. But things are looking up. Bethany asked me to thank all of you who have supported us in this command and in the past year of her fight. Now, my life often revolves around my favorite 6-year-old, Sophia. Pookie, you have to do hard things, like your first 25-meter backstroke 2 nights ago. You can do it. She wanted a mention in this speech, probably not in the context of being told to do hard things, but beggars can't be choosers. I believe trust is the bedrock of the Army profession. I think some doctrine says that, so I probably can't take credit for it. The cadre on this field wield enormous authority, and they do it responsibly every day. Now, others can judge whether I was successful in extending trust, but I would like to say that the trust I extended was rewarded. Thank you to the leaders in this brigade, especially down to the company command team level, for continuing to honor the trust given you and doing what's right to accomplish our mission. My personal thanks are extended to both Lieutenant General Francis and Major General Gill. Your trust in me in decades past and your tolerance of my mistakes and growing pains is what allowed me to continue to contribute to our Army. And thank you to First General McCurry and now General Gill for the example you set in leading this Center of Excellence. People want to serve where developing lethal warfighters comes first. To the trainees on the field, someone you meet in your first few weeks of training may be your closest friends 25 years from now. Thanks to a couple of the longest running friends that I have had in my life who traveled far to be here today. I met them in the first weeks of ROTC in 1998. Chris and Dylan, I appreciate you being here. Thank you to my mom and dad, my sisters and friends who traveled here today. I can only be eternally grateful for the examples I've had set for me. I could never say enough about all of them. My sisters are examples I would like my daughter to follow. Sophie and Bethany, I love you both and look forward to our next adventure, even if it's not a PCS across an ocean this time. Rob Holcroft, I wish you and Christine the best. I appreciate the cordial transition. I believe this was a transition that Major General Frank Tate would have been proud of. God rest his soul. I learned a lot about handovers and a lot of other things from him. So I challenge all of you to extend trust and then be a present leader with a positive attitude while you and your soldiers do hard things. This is a winning formula in the hangars, in the barracks, and it is the foundation of successful teams that will win on the most challenging of days on other fields less tranquil than this one. Thank you to everyone in this brigade for an awesome couple of years. Born under fire, above the best, fly Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Robert Holcroft, Commander, 128th Aviation Brigade.
Good morning, distinguished guests, fellow service members, families, and friends of the 128th. Being last up of the speakers this morning, my wife told me last night, you better be brief, be brilliant, and be gone. And I know if I'm not, Col Moreshead will for sure give me one of her glorious eyes. But before I get into this, as my predecessors, I want to recognize the effort to making this entire ceremony exceptional. From that incredible national anthem, to the bugles and beats of the 380th Army Band, to the commander of troops, and all the soldiers standing out here in the humid Virginia heat. Job well done. And this is why we do it on Friday, so we can wash these uniforms and be ready to get back after it on Monday. Truly a first-class representation of the talent that we have across this amazing formation, and an example of how Army aviation executes with precision and excellence no matter the task. Major General Gill, thank you so much for officiating today's ceremony. You have got to be one of the busiest leaders in our Army today, and your presence, along with Lieutenant General Francis, Brigadier General Hart, Command Sergeant Major Coley, and those dialing in online, we've got Major General Tegmeyer and the CENTCOM team. Thank you all so much. Your presence here really honors the formation today. Ladies and gentlemen, the 128th Brigade is a command where humans far exceed the importance of hardware. Thousands of bright and eager young men and women flood through these classrooms annually to learn the trade of aviation maintenance. At its core, this team takes capable soldiers who have succeeded through the rigors, likely the most difficult thing they've done in their lives to this point at basic combat training, and molds them into competent aviation maintenance professionals. These trainees are being trained and mentored by our Army's finest. In just the 2 weeks I had walking the footprint with Paul, it's been clearly evident to me that the command teams, the drill sergeants, the cadre, and the administrative support personnel of the 128th are the best that our branch has to offer. Most of these professionals are combat veterans with thousands of hours behind the wrench, having fulfilled some of the most demanding positions in the line across unforgiving locations we all know too well: Baghdad, Buring, Kobani, Kandahar. These leaders maintain the standard daily and ensure that our soldiers leave this installation with the skills necessary to begin increasing helicopter operational readiness on day one in a combat aviation brigade. They develop competence in technical tasks, instill confidence in roles and responsibilities of a maintainer and a soldier. They build pride in the profession of arms, and they mold aviation warriors. I'm so proud to be a part of this great endeavor. There's many I'd like to thank today. First and foremost, I give all glory to God. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege of living and serving in the finest country in the world. Thanks to my mom and dad who traveled from the great state of Idaho today and who laid the seeds for me to seek a career in this incredible military so long ago. Your love and support and presence means the world to me. To my wife, Christine, my lovely bride for 23 years, and my beautiful daughters, Jada and Nadia, your steadfast commitment to me and the Army has been unwavering, and I thank you all for buckling in for another command tour. To my mentors, several of whom are in attendance today, many more watching online, thanks for always setting the example, for pouring your time into making me the officer, the leader, the man I am today. To see that many of you have commuted several hours from DC to be here this morning blows me away, and it's a true testament of how wonderful this profession of arms is. Paul and Bethany Moreshead, Christine and I cannot thank you enough. This handover, as you said, Paul, would make Frank Tate proud, and I really appreciate how warmly you welcomed us to this community and into the organization. We wish you Godspeed on your future endeavors over at Langley, and we look to stay in close contact. To all the community leaders and members of Joint Base Langley Eustis, thank you for all you do in making this post an exceptional place to both live and work. And lastly, to the warriors of the 128th Brigade, I thank you for your professionalism and commitment to both this great organization and its great mission. You are truly what makes our Army the best in the world, and I am humbled and honored to command such an incredible organization. Thank you all. May God bless the 128th, our beloved Army, and the United States of America. Born under fire, Phoenix 6 on station. I've got the fight, sir.
Detachment. Attention. Seat colors. Sound. Attention. Sound. Officers in color. Approach. Mark.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder during the pass and review, it is customary for persons to stand when the national colors approach and remain standing until the colors have passed. Military personnel will present arms. Ladies and gentlemen, music for today's ceremony is being provided by the 380th Army Band of the Virginia Army Reserve, led by Master Sergeant Nestor Delica. Now approaching the reviewing stand are the units participating in today's pass and review. First, approaching the reviewing stand is the 128th Aviation Brigade staff, led by the Commander of Troops, Lieutenant Colonel Elizabeth Weaver. Approaching the reviewing stand is the Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 128th Aviation Brigade, commanded by Captain Michele Billy and First Sergeant Benjamin Peralta. Now approaching the reviewing stand is the 1st Battalion 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Sood and First Sergeant Andres Kupinski. Approaching the reviewing stand is Alpha Company, 1st Battalion 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Rene Ramirez and First Sergeant Oscar Molina. Approaching the reviewing stand is Bravo Company, 1st Battalion 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain William Mooney and First Sergeant Matthew Van Pelt. Approaching the reviewing stand is Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Briano Ilari and First Sergeant McCurdy Charlery. Approaching the reviewing stand is Delta Company, 1st Battalion, 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Jonah Reinhardt and First Sergeant J.C. Calloway. Approaching the reviewing stand is Fox Company, 1st Battalion, 222nd Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Cameron Torres and Sergeant First Class Timothy Wooden. Ladies and gentlemen, the Skymaster. Approaching the reviewing stand is the 128th Aviation Brigade Color Guard, led by the Brigade Command Sergeant Major Susie Nuvali. Please rise and render the appropriate honors for the passing of our national colors. Now approaching the reviewing stand is the 1st Battalion 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne Griffin and Command Sergeant Major Kristen Hughes. Approaching the reviewing stand is Alpha Company, 1st Battalion 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Paige Ziegler and First Sergeant Jeremy Lowry. Approaching the reviewing stand is Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Cody Dangler and First Sergeant Ricardo Serrano. Approaching the reviewing stand is Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Adam Robinson and First Sergeant Zachary Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, the Highlanders. Now approaching the reviewing stand is the 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Nicole Collins and Command Sergeant Major Van Wagner. Approaching the reviewing stand is Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Sarah Junn and First Sergeant Daniel Wallace. Approaching the reviewing stand is Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain John Condley and First Sergeant Matthew Wells. Approaching the reviewing stand is Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation Regiment, commanded by Captain Joseph Walker and First Sergeant Matthew Bryan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Guardians. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of the aviation song and the Army song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's change of command ceremony. We would like to extend an invitation to our guests to bid farewell to Colonel and Mrs. Moreshead at the tent next to the reviewing stand. We also extend an invitation to our guests to attend a reception for Colonel and Mrs. Holcroft at the Alpha Company Multi-Purpose Room, located behind us in the building closest to the parking lot. Thank you for attending today's ceremony. Above the best.